A Wednesday meditation, a healing story attributed to Jesus found in Mark's Gospel, chapter 8, verses 22 to 26. Perhaps after the meditation you would want to read the Gospel. Mark 8, 22 to 26. When you beg, then you are very desperate. Those who brought this blind man to Jesus were like that. They knew the rules, they knew their place, they knew his place in society, being blind. But they also suspected there was something different about Jesus. When you beg, then you are very desperate. Mark does not say so, but perhaps those who brought this man to Jesus were members of his own family, willing to risk and to expose themselves for love of him. For love of this man who did not even have a name. One who had inherited this sin, this disease, blindness, this blemish, this shame, as society had marked him. And it's hard to figure out why they were not compassionate, why people were not compassionate. We live in a different world today where we tend to highlight compassion, and it's in some senses easier for us to reach out and touch, though not these days. They were in an occupied land, so the collective consciousness was one of struggle and of survival. If you were first century Jewish Palestinian, you were living in an occupied land. And so to be compassionate, to be tender, to be alternative, put you at risk, and it was almost easier to be hard, to be heartless, than to be one who is full of heart and open. Easier to be defensive than undefended, vulnerable, open to something new. It is in this context that the man is brought to Jesus, a so-called blemished man, and those who risked loving him so much begged Jesus to touch him because they knew that ritually Jesus would be making himself unclean. Jesus does more. Taking him by the hand, Jesus led him out of the village, and I would like to think Jesus led him to a sacred, peaceful place along the Sea of Galilee. They were near BETHSAIDA anyway, that's how the story is written, so there was easy access to the Sea of Galilee, to a place of restoration. Jesus takes him for a one-on-one, a place apart, a place alone, away from the eyes of others. And in this place apart, this place of isolation and quiet, Jesus applies a healing technique of the day, spit. Using the gift of touch, Jesus laid his hands on him. This first technique doesn't yield marvelous results, unfortunately. And the man replies to Jesus, he says, I see people, but they look like trees walking about. I hope you can see the humor in that. Jesus tries again. And this time, the blind man also makes a greater effort. The Gospel puts it beautifully. He was restored and could see everything clearly. These are metaphors, as you know. Listen again. He was restored and could see everything clearly. Then Jesus sent him home. I hope his home was a place of healing as well. Don't go to the village, Jesus said. Don't go to that place where you have perhaps been judged. Go home, Jesus said, maybe knowing in his heart that it was a safe place where healing could continue. Before watching him go, Jesus asked the man, "What is your name?" And he replied, "Abinadab." Then turning to Jesus, he asked, "Rabboni, and what is yours?"